morning. So injury update here for you. Terrell Bernard will not play in this game. He'll be limited today. Feel like he's moving in the right direction as it relates to next week. Curtis Samuel limited, also questionable for the game. And then Damar Hamlin, Cam Lewis, Taylor Rapp, also limited, but all expected to play at this point. Time's yours.
It's a unique week in terms of how is your staff and your players handled these practices?
I think they've been rather focused. I'm sure some are appreciating the rest a little bit and being able to just maybe unplug just a bit, but not totally getting out of their routines, which I think is also important. There's a lot of things you balance this time of year in a week like this, where you want to win the game. That's number one, and then you're also trying to be smart with keeping players healthy, and then there's other factors and considerations that come into play. Player incentives. You want to get as many of these players on the practice squad up as we can to look at them, and rightfully so. They've earned that right. The challenge is you only have two ups that you can allocate week to week here. So trying to balance that as well. And I think communication's big, and you try and do the best you can with that as well.
Hey, Sean, with the Mike White activation, how much is that this week, and how much is that being able to have an emergency third in the playoffs?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Yeah, both, I would say. Mike's done a great job. Hopefully he'll have a chance to play Sunday, and he, like the others, has worked extremely hard, been a great addition to our team, and a true class act.
You touched on it there, but how have you seen him fit into this quarterback room where the dynamic between guys is so important?
He's done a good job. He really has. You're talking about a guy that wasn't here through spring training camp, preseason, and whatnot. So to watch the personalities in that room come together, just support one another, and that's also part of the role of being a backup is supporting the head guy, in this case Josh, and it's been fun watching that room and the dynamic in that room unfold through the season.
When you look at records that you could break this week, like the number of guys to catch a touchdown, how much are you able to have fun with that? Like, you could get very creative there. Is that something you're keeping in mind, or what is that process like of planning that?
I mean, I think it'll be a byproduct of trying to win the game. So, yeah, we're intentional about it, but not irresponsible, I would say. So I think that's an important balance there.
And Sean, Dawson Knox is averaging a career high yards per catch. What has Joe been able to get unlocked with him getting downfield?
Dawson, you said? Yeah, I mean, I go back, and I think I mentioned this several weeks ago when Dalton went down, and was it, I think, Seattle game maybe. Dawson then really stepped up and made some big-time catches for us, and I think it was after the game Dawson mentioned to me, he said, I think he had a couple of young players come up to him and say, hey, that was a great job, and they weren't around maybe when he was the main guy and making the plays that he was making, and I think his response to me was like, hey, I've been doing this for some time now, so it's not new, right? And I kind of got a chuckle from that, because he's been, in particular this year, is such a leader for us. Just his maturation, his team-first approach. He's very, very influential in that locker room, not just from a playing standpoint, but from a veteran presence standpoint, to guys who are younger than him and helping them in a lot of ways off the field, which is huge for us.
Sean, how much would you like to see from Damar on the field this weekend?
No, he's going to play. How much he plays remains to be seen, but I do think since he's been out a significant amount of time, that he gets out there and he plays, and he may play the whole game. We'll see. We'll see how it goes, Joe. But it is important that he's back out there and continues to work on some of his communication with T-Rap. T-Rap will be out there as well, and at least for a part of the game. We've had it before where guys are injured and then they try and play their first game and it's in the playoffs, and wanting to play in the playoffs, everyone does. Being able to do it at a level that you need to do it is another issue or another challenge. So I think in this case for Damar, us seeing him going out there in his first game back, I think it's been 2 or 3 weeks now. So that'll be important for him, important for us.
Talking to some guys in the locker room yesterday, you mentioned that other teams they've been on, they're maybe not encouraged as much to be themselves. There's a lot of guys in that locker room with a lot of different personalities and all that sort of thing. But why is it important to you? Like, where did that come from to want to encourage guys to just be themselves and
I think it just makes work that much more enjoyable. I mean, I heard something the other day of we spent about 80% of our waking hours at work, and that was kind of staggering a little bit because I'm like, whoa, you think, hey, you really become who you are at home. And I think that's true, but when you're around this environment for 80% of your waking life while you're here, it causes you to grow, and you want to build an environment where players can be themselves. And I think that's the only way you really free them up to be the best version or become the best version of themselves, is allowing them to do that.
John, just with Khalil, early this season, he was kind of thrust in the role of having to be Mr. Reliable for Josh. In the receiver room, as other guys kind of just develop their chemistry with him, how has, just from what you've seen him kind of continue that dependability of the season, how has that, in your opinion, shaped his development? He's still in an early point in his career.
Man, he's just wired. He's wired that way. He's so detail oriented, focused. I think sometimes people mistake discipline for robotic. He's disciplined, and that also then leads to a huge amount of trust with Josh. So I mean, he's been a big time staple of our offense, not only this year but in the year or two leading up to this year as well. All right, thanks guys.